Hey guys, it's me, the Big B again. Right, new video time, new phone time. Now as you know, if you've looked at a few of my other videos, I've been through a few phones. I've been through iPhone, 3G, 3GS and iPhone 4. I've been then on Android, the mighty Galaxy S, the HTC Desire, LG Optimus, not so great, but still Android. This time I fancy to change. It's upgrade time on my contract and I decided to go for one of these. The HTC Hd7, Windows 7 phone. Now a lot of people will probably say, oh Christ, what have you done that for? I mean, look at the ugly tiles, the big ugly tiles on the screen and things. Which is fair enough. Yes, it does have those big tiles, but I'll tell you what, I've used all the phones like I've said. And I don't regret going onto this phone. This phone has got to be one of the best I've ever used, and I'll tell you for why. Mainly not down to the fact it's a 4.3 inch screen, which it is, really nice screen on it, big screen, and it's a really nice built phone. Build quality is fantastic. I mean, really good. Feels really good in the hand. It's got some really nice features, but the operating system, a lot of people have slated the Windows operating system, but I like it. I like that simplicity. I like those tiles. Yes, on Android you've got 7 home screens, and on the iPhone you've got your Retina display, and you've got as many screens as you friggin' want, and blah blah blah. I don't miss any of them for a second, guys. The tile system works. You've got 2 main screens. My camera's crap, so this won't pick up very well. But you've got a couple of main screens. You've got your main tile screen with all your tiles on, and you've got a screen listing everything that's installed. If you want to pin one of them to there, all you do, I just got an email there, is you press and hold what you want to pin. You get a thing up saying, do you want to uninstall it, do you want to pin it to the start, or do you want to rate it? And you pin it to the start and it goes as a tile over there. If you want to then move that tile, you just press and long hold and move it. Put it to where you want to be, where I want it back. There's a little cross there if you want to delete it. If you want it back, just press and you're in. Simple as that. Does what it does very efficiently. And that's the whole thing. I've used Androids, and you know, you boot it up and you're waiting for the thing seems to take for ages to load. You know, you get your HTC screen, you get then seems to wait for about a minute or so, or maybe it's a bit longer. Then you get the writing that comes up with the black writing, quietly brilliant, and goes ding, you get your jingle. Then it seems to wait for a while, then your operating system comes up, but then it kind of takes a bit to load. Well, even once your front screen comes up, even on the gigahertz processor of the Desire and the Galaxy, it then took a few seconds for everything to boot up and everything to be in place. And if you tried to scroll before it had finished, everything was jerky because everything was trying to buffer and run and get set up. This thing boots up really bloody quickly. I'll show you. What I'll actually do is I'll actually turn it off, and I'll show you it booting up. Right, there's the thing. It's saying goodbye. Now this is I'm impressed with, as well as a couple of other features of the phone which I'll get into. One of them is emails, especially on again the Android devices. You set your emails up. I set mine up, set my wife's up, and I had a third Google account. But when those accounts, the emails are coming in, they don't come in as separate email. It's all just jumbled in as one. You get the thing, and it's very hard to tell whose email's who, because they all just come into the one contact sort of widget or the drop-down menu at the top sort of thing. They don't distinguish whose email's whose. With this, it does. I've got 3 tiles pinned to the startup. When I set because obviously Windows, it's Windows Live and all that business, and MSN and all that stuff. So you've got all that in your contacts. But I set my Windows Live up as the main account on the phone, and you can then call the account whatever you want. So I called mine Brian, the Big B, you know, whatever you want to call it, but I put Brian, and it pins a tile to the start with the email symbol on with my name stuck on it. So I did my wife's separate, which is again a Hotmail account, pinned one to the start for her with her name. So when she gets an email, it goes onto her tile, and when I get an email, it goes onto my tile, so you can tell whose emails are who. May not sound like a big thing, but it is. It's a really big thing. Keeps all the emails separate, and even the Gmail is a separate one. And yes, it takes up 3 tiles, but there's no guessing like, oh, well, that's not for me, that's not for me, that's not for me. Oh, and you know, it's a bit of a mess about. This just does that beautifully, really well. But we'll get back into that. Right, it's turned off. It's been turned off for a while. I'll press and hold. It's just buzzed now, so it's just firing up. There's the white screen. It's hard to see, I'm sorry about this, with a HTC. Now, you don't get the writing underneath, but you know you can sit on an Android phone for about a minute waiting for that writing to come on, and it still hasn't booted up. I think I timed it at about 2.5, 3.5 minutes, depending on how, if it was having a good day. That's just to tell us who I'm on with. Needn't guess. You get the Windows Phone logo comes up, and you're in. And look, it's not booting up and not juddering because it's still trying to boot up. That's it. You are in. Now, an Android phone, what did that take? 20 seconds? If that, and the entire operating system's booted up. When you get to this point on an Android after 2.5, 3 minutes, and you try and scroll left and right, it sort of goes because it's trying to load the widgets in all the windows and get all the information ready. So you still have to wait for a little while. But you saw there, the instant that screen popped up, you're in. Simple as it gets. And I really, really like that. And again, just to prove that you are up and running, I'm trying to do this backwards. I'll just run into Explorer. Straight in. There's no messing about, there's no juddering, there's no time delay. The only time delay we're getting here is because it's trying to pull the information on that website, and I think if it's the one I think it is, which is PS Groove about PlayStations, it's a pretty busy site, so it takes a little while to log in. But the software just runs so efficiently. And to show how efficiently, I'm going to do pinch to zoom, which is another thing that impressed us. I'm going to try and do this backwards, but hey-ho. I'll just try and get onto one of the big pictures here to show you the graphic thing. Look at that, how fast and smooth that is. My fingers are going in and out, and it's keeping up with us, and it's just so smooth and instantaneous. Tap, and let's see if I can tap. In, out, in again. It's just very, very silky smooth. There's no slowdown at all. And when you come back out, you get your little transition. I love them transition effects. It is really, really good. And because obviously, like any other phone, it's integrated into Facebook. You click your People's Hub. You get, I'll just go to the right screen, your 3 main screens. That's just your contacts, all your contacts of everyone you know as a standard phone. Then you go to the next screen, other way, and that's all your Facebook updates of all the people in them contacts on one screen. No messing about, very efficient. You can comment, post, do what the hell you want from there. And on the next screen, that's the recent people you've talked to or had contact with on Facebook. And say that's a contact, that's my stepdad. If I press and hold it just like an icon, I get the things up and I can either pin them to the start or edit it. So I can actually pin that contact to the start as a tile. And obviously if you do that, that means if you use that person quite a lot, or you talk to that person quite a lot, you can pin it to the start bar. You can actually pin anything to there. Just say you've got a load of pictures on your phone and you want to show your mate one, a specific one. Now when you get there, you're scrolling through, you go to your camera roll and you scroll and it takes you a while to find it. But if you already find it before you go and you just then hold it, pin it to the start, it pins that one picture to the start as a tile. Then when you get there, you click on it and it bangs straight to that picture. No messing about, straight in. Like I said, really, really efficient in what it does. Couple of things, ringtones and things that people might have complained about or you might have heard about. Yes, you can't do custom ringtones, but they are going to address that in an update because there's a lot of people being complaining about it. So that is going to be sorted. So little things like that I don't even class as problems. It's just little foibles. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's a ringtone. Everything else just works. The operating system is very smooth and very efficient. Yes, you don't have all the eye candy, but you don't need it. You still get some eye candy with this, with the transition effects. There's even a screen of writing in an email. It peels in 3D and it does it very smoothly. There is no juddering or frame skips on this damn thing. And yes, it doesn't multitask like an Android. But that's a good thing on this phone. Because it doesn't necessarily multitask, it can do what it does very efficiently. On an Android, I was sick of having to run the bleeding task manager, shut programs down because it was using too many resources and things started grinding to a flaming halt. and it was annoying. Even though I like Android, that was one annoying feature. And if I shut 6 programs down, and in 10 seconds later the same 6 bloody programs are running, even though I'd never run them, and they were still running in the background. So it's not no operating system's perfect, but the simplicity of this, to keep it simple, straight to the point, it does what it does efficiently, and you don't need all the eye candy to do that. And I love them tiles. I love the way they work and things. Again, you're linked into your Facebook, you're linked into your Xbox Live. You can even have your avatar on the screen. I'm not going to go into that particularly right now, because I will do that in another video. That's starting to get really in depth. But any game you download from the game market that's Xbox Live certified, if you play it and you unlock achievements on the phone, that actually affects your achievement score on your real Xbox. And you've even got your avatar that moves in 3D on the phone, which is really good. And you can keep in contact with who's on Xbox Live at the time, send them a message, say hello, and all that business. Again, integrated, really cool. Now, apps. I've heard a lot of people twisting about the apps. Oh, the apps is expensive, more expensive than the iPhone, and this, that, and t'other. Now, you believe how many people have had twisting. They're not. I'll tell you for now, it's all bollocks. It's your iPhone fanboys trying to diss it, and your Android and all that. And I'm not biased against any of them. I just tell it how it is, as you know. All the big game companies that write all the games for all these phones, like iPhone, like you got EA Games, you got Elite, or not Elite, or whatever the hell they call it, Atari, and some of the others. You know the ones. I mean, the big game companies. And the games on the iPhone and the Android, they sort of $4.99, $5.99. I've seen them up to $6.99. Christ, I even saw one at like $10.99. That was on Apple and on Android. They're exactly the same here. Some of the bigger games, they're $4.99, $5.99. I've seen one for $6.99, but not above that, so they're no different to all the others. And there are a lot of apps that are 79 pence, 99 pence, £1.29 pence. So again, exactly the same as Android and Apple. There are apps at all prices, and there are a hell of a lot of them free. There's that many free. I haven't even looked at all the free ones. When people say, "Oh, there's not many apps on the window thing," there are. And it's growing every day, because you've got a section on the phone in the app market for new, and it's new stuff every day. And again, it's a bit like all of them. There's some good stuff and there's some crap stuff, but by the by. Yes, there aren't as many as on Apple or Android, but it's new. They're just starting, and I was impressed still with what there was there. And there are some really slinky games. Obviously, Microsoft, DirectX, good at 3D and all that, and this phone really does it well. But again, I'll get into that more on another video, where I'll go into a bit more in depth about that. Camera, really like the camera. Again, it's not going to take over your £600 SLR camera, that your standalone camera or nothing, but it's a phone at the end of the day. 5 megapixel camera is really good. 720p video recording, dual LED flash. Trying to remember this off memory, and my memory's not brilliant. One feature I did like, which not all phones do, some do, but most don't, is during the video recording you can turn on the LED flash, which, so like I say, some phones I've had with flash didn't allow you to do that. They just operated as a flash for the normal camera. So you can imagine dual bright LEDs. If it's a bit dark and you've got to take the video, that is a real big help. And believe me, they're bloody bright, and when it's dark, really bright. So I like that little feature. That's nice. I like that. And another good feature with the camera is if the phone screen's off like so, and you want to take a picture on some phones that don't have the dedicated camera button, especially HTC Android, some of them, you've got to power the screen on, run the app itself, the camera, because there's no dedicated button. Then you've got to wait for it loading. Then you've got to press and take your photograph. By that time, what you were pointing at's gone anyway. With this, screen off, you click that button, dedicated camera button, and it boots straight into the camera. And I'm talking about instant. It's just bang, your camera's there, and you can take a photograph. It is that quick. You don't even have to power the screen on. It just comes on automatic when you think. Good little feature, obviously, for catching them unexpected moments. Little thing, but I like it. It's something to be thought of. Now, another thing that I like, which some people have complained about, well, a lot of people have complained about if you look on the net, your power indicator, your power and your battery status and all that palaver. that's supposed to be on the top up there, and as you see, it ain't. There's nothing there, there's just the little clock. But when you tap, see if I can hit it, they drop down, and again they don't drop down all together, and they're not a pull down thing. They drop down in sequence, and they will bugger off in like a little sequence, and they don't just drop, they sort of bounce there, and then they float up. I don't see why that's a problem. You know, yeah, you can see at a glance whether your battery powers thing and that, but again, it takes one little tap and you get that little quirky little animation, and I like stuff like that. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. But again, it's not a problem. People were playing holy hell. What a piece of crap! Why do that? Why is it such a big deal that you can just tap on the top? It's removing all unnecessary information. You can get that information at the tap. Is it so much effort to tap like that and say, oh, well, I've got quite a bit of battery, and then it buggers off, so it's not a distraction for you? You know, it's not a big problem, and if it is a big problem for some of these reviewers, then you need to get out more. I don't mind it. Trying to think what else. On here, you've obviously got the kickstand, which comes in very handy if you want to watch a video like that. You just stand it up and you can sit and watch them with that screen. Gorgeous. And it's got dual speakers top and bottom for stereo sound, so I like that little feature. Again, a lot of phones don't have that, some do, but not like that. I like the fact that that's actually built around the camera and comes away, just if we get the right side even, like that. Really, 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 really nice, and it's really sturdy. It looks plastic, but it's not, it's metal, so don't worry about that. So that's another good feature. Call quality, really good. A little bit quieter than some phones, but some phones have had that's really loud, which is fair enough, but it sounds like you're talking to a tin can, which isn't good. This is slightly quieter, but it is crystal clear, and I really, really mean crystal clear. I was really impressed with the call quality. Now, battery life, which is a big thing for a lot of people, especially me, after the iPhone 4 and other disasters. 1230 milliamp hour battery, I get a good day out of it, and you consider the size of this bloody screen, it takes some power, but I get a day out of it. I only got a day out of my iPhone 4 on a good run. I still had to charge it up at the end of the day, and then again the HTC Desire, I had to charge it up at the end of the day, so, and the Galaxy S, I had to charge it up at the end of the day. So people have been slagging this phone up, saying, oh, it only lasts a day. Most of the buggers only last a day unless you put a bigger battery in, which is what I'm going to do. Now, you get two batteries. One I got off eBay for £6, 1500 milliamp battery, which will give you the full day. You'll get a good chod more out of it. You could go up to a 3500 milliamp battery, which would be really nice, except it was really thick and you had to put a new back on the phone. And as you can see, the phone, again, if I can think, is really slim, really, for like the size of the phone. But this new back come out to about here. It was like a huge thing with a new back on it, and you know, that would distract from the sexiness of the phone to me. It would be like a brick. Then it would be a bit too much. Yeah, you'll get 3 days continuous use out of it, but that's a bit too much. So I think a 1500 milliamp battery, which I'm hoping will arrive in the post any day now, and I will include that in my new video, and tell you how that is. But again, with a standard battery in, unless you're playing a game for sort of like 2 hours solid in a major 3D game, which obviously will suck your battery dry, for normal, moderate use, get a full day out of it. Fine, no problem. Couple of battery saving tips: turn off your GPS, unless you're obviously using it as a sat-nav, but in standard use, the phone can find out where it's at with their triangulation anyway, with the normal 3G signal. Obviously not as accurate as the GPS, but the GPS uses a lot of power, so it's a no-brainer. And there is a feature in these phones for a feedback feature that constantly sends information back to Microsoft, back to home, obviously bug reporting and things in the background. Now that uses your 3G signal, it communicates backwards and forwards without your knowledge, so you use not only your data plan, but you're using power, because it's constantly communicating. So I turn that off, and little things like that all do add up. I don't turn my screen brightness down, because I'm a firm believer of why sit there with a dim screen when you've got this gorgeous screen. I have my brightness up full. I like the brightness, and honestly, 4.3 inch screen that this thing's got is really clear. Yeah, it's obviously not going to be as vibrant as an AMOLED screen like on the Galaxy S, which was stunning, but it's still stunning in its own right, and the size makes up for that. you know, like as many people say, size does make a difference. I like the big phones. I know my wife's after one of these now after seeing this, but she's wanting the smaller Mozart or Trophy, which is about a 3.6 inch screen. I think slightly smaller, something more a little bit dainty for her, but I like the big screens. It's just the, you know, the way I am. I just really like them. So I'm going to leave it there for this one because that's all I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to go into like a great big unboxing and all the very fine detail. I'm not a professional reviewer. I just tell it how it is. As like I say, a lot of people subscribe to my video now and they just like how I say it. If it's shite, I say it's shite. It's as simple as that. I'm not a fanboy of anything. If it does what it does well, I don't care what the hell logo's on it or what operating system's on it, as long as it does what it does well. And this phone does. If you can do without all of, if you need all your fancy eye candy and your backgrounds and this and that, knock yourself out, then stay with your iPhone or your Android. But if you want something that is amazingly efficient, very quick, straight in, do the job it was intended for, come out, no hassle, no fuss, no forced closing like you get on a lot of the Android stuff. You know, I did have a fair bit of stuff crash. This doesn't. You've seen how quickly this thing boots up and shuts down. That is like a deal breaker for me, to have a phone that boots up like that. And as you saw, within a second of that home screen coming on, it was silky smooth and I could do anything I want. Believe me, with Androids, when some of them are booting up, you can't do that. You have to give it a bit of time for the operating system to get everything sort of ramped up a little bit. Where this just, you're in, you think the adverts say it the best. When you see the adverts about the Android Windows 7 and you see the guy drop his phone in the toilet and he picks it up and continues using it and the guy next to him says, really? It does give you that sort of feeling that you just love using it. And like the guy on the football match where he's like, bing, photograph, click, done, send, in his pocket. That is true. You can do it that quick. And you do find, I find myself every time I use it, even just to check an email or send a text message or send an email, and that, just anything I do, you kind of have a little smile on your face as it's doing what it's doing. And you know, you can be sitting there in a cafe or something and you can send an email or send a text message, you go ding 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 ding, done. And the guy next to you on the other phone, and you can see they going into this, they do it, and they chewing on a little bit. And I've done it myself. And you'll be done and finished and you'll be off. So really, really good. Now I'm going to leave it there because I'm starting to wrap it on a bit now, and I know I don't like boring people, and this is the longest one I've done so far, 22 minutes, nearly 23 minutes here. I normally keep them down to about 10. So I'll leave it there. If you've got any questions about any, you know, more in-depth things, I'll be only too glad. Now I've got me Gmail set up to this, and that's for me YouTube videos. I'm pretty much got email on the go now properly. So I'll be able to answer any comments even when I'm not in near the computer. Keep an eye out for, give us a couple of days and I'll use the phone a bit more. I've only had it a day really myself, and I'll put a few games on and look into that side of it, I think, in the app market, and I'll show you in the next video a bit more. I'll try and get a better camera angle if I can, and show you more on-screen stuff of what the phone does and does well. Show you some of the app market and things and how you install stuff and go into that sort of way around it. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Any comments, like I say, leave them down there and I'll get back to you in the next video and we'll go a bit more in depth. So thanks for watching, guys.